Hello, Bryan College. This is Peter Held, and if you don't recognize me, well, this is what happens when you stop shaving, all right? We've been living in some strange times, some very unusual times, and I've been encouraged by the online devotionals that have come our way, some of the sermons I've been able to watch, and some of the other messages that have come across online that remind us of the things that we know to be true in our faith. The reminders of where we find our grounding, where we find the things that support us during these times, all those things we know to be true. Well, over the past year, I've been thinking a lot about what we don't know. And I've been thinking in particular about one word. That's the word hope. It's an important word in the Christian faith, and in 1 Corinthians 13, right after we're told that we only know in part, there's a little bit that we don't know. We don't know everything. And right after it says that we know in part, it says there are three things that abide, that continue, that we can count on. And you know those three things: faith, hope, and love. Three enduring qualities. And in this triad of amazing beliefs, we know a lot about faith. We can talk a lot about that. And we can talk a lot about love. But in the middle of that triad is kind of the middle child, the one that seems to get ignored, the word hope. And maybe we ignore it because it's a bit more mysterious than the other two. It seems to be accompanied by the fact that we don't know everything. We don't know everything that we want to know. And so we maybe pay not as much attention to that word as the others. So there's a mystery about that word hope. It includes some things that are not known. In Romans chapter 8, it says, hope that is seen is not hope. So there's an element of mystery to it, uncertainty. And we don't like that uncertainty because it can lead to, it comes from a lack of control. When we don't know what's going on, when we're not sure about things, there's that lack of control. And yet, as we just heard, this word hope means it's not seen. It's something that we don't know completely. And that can be humbling. The fact that we think we know things can be very empowering. Experts are the people we look to with the knowledge. In fact, the scripture says that that knowledge can puff up. It can make a person arrogant. But when there's not that knowledge, when there's that element of the unseen, there's a humility that comes with that. It's the fact that we don't know everything. And certainly in these times, we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what's coming along. And that's my point in this video, is to demonstrate that there can be some security in the fact that we have a hope, even though there is this vast unknown before us. We don't know what tomorrow brings. And that's okay. That's where this word hope can mean so much to us. And it can humble us, and it should humble us. An interesting passage of scripture to me has always been James chapter 4, right after telling us to humble ourselves in the presence of the Lord. It says this. It says, "Come now," this is James chapter 4, "you who say today or tomorrow we'll go to such and such a city and spend a year there and will engage in business and make profit, yet you do not know what your life will be like tomorrow. You're just a vapor that appears for a little while and then vanishes away. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we'll live and also do this or that. But as it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil." You see, something about knowing and being knowledgeable about something can bring about an arrogance that's not fitting for us. There's something about humbling ourselves before the Lord and realizing that tomorrow we don't know what it brings. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. We have confident hope in what God has promised, but we don't know what this virus is going to do. We don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know what can resume after all of this, if there is an after all of this. We don't know when we can resume with our lives. We don't know what lies ahead. And you know what? And the point is, we never did know. We never did know what tomorrow would bring. We never did know what the future would hold. We never did know if our plans would hold. You know, it sounds like faith when we say, tomorrow, God is going to do this. In the next year or so, we're going to do that. It sounds like faith, but James calls it what? Evil. It sounds good. He calls it evil. It's certainly not humble. James calls it arrogant, and he calls it boasting. And when we think, when we're under the impression that, yes, we know what tomorrow brings, that's not becoming of us. And that's not fitting for this amazing word, hope. You see, hope is that confidence we have in God that he will bring about what he's promised. And he doesn't promise us tomorrow. He doesn't promise that all our plans will turn out like we want them to. We never did have that promise. We never did have that knowledge. We never did. And maybe it's taken a virus, a worldwide pandemic to remind us that we don't know a lot. And that's okay. And that might humble us before God. So in reality, we never did know what tomorrow would bring. But we follow a shepherd who does. We never did know what the future was going to hold in all of its details. But we hold the hand of one who does and who leads us, and we follow him. And I think that's part of the essence of this word, hope. Hope that is seen is not hope. And we can have confidence in a God who does know the future. And we can hold his hand as he guides us along. So while we don't know what lies ahead, we do know the one who holds our futures. So be encouraged with that. Peace.